So today we're going to talk about Kidswell project and recognizing ADHD symptomatology, which is the first module. So our learning outcomes from this module is after completing this module, educators will be able to understand the key characteristics and symptoms of ADHD, recognize how ADHD affects students' learning and classroom behavior, identify common challenges faced by students with ADHD, apply effective classroom strategies to support attention and behavior, create an inclusive and supportive learning environment, collaborate with parents and professionals to support students with ADHD. So let's begin with what is ADHD? ADHD is attention deficit hyperactivity disorder that is a neurodevelopmental condition that affects how brain develops and functions, particularly in areas related to attention, self-control, and behavior. ADHD mainly affects attention, so children may find difficult to focus, stay on task, or follow instructions. Self-regulation, children may struggle to control impulses, emotions, or reactions. Behavior, children may appear restless, impulsive, or overly active compared to their peers. ADHD is a medical and developmental condition, and not a lack of poor parenting of discipline. So basically, it's not caused by poor parenting, lack of discipline, or laziness, or lack of effort. Instead, ADHD is related to differences in brain development and how certain brain systems function, especially those involved in attention and executive functioning. Early understanding of ADHD can help parents and educators provide appropriate support and strategies that allow children to succeed at school, at home, and in social situations. So let's see first and talk about the ADHD and brain function. ADHD is linked to differences in brain structure and function. So mainly it affects prefrontal cortex, and the impacts are attention regulation, impulse control, decision making, the neurotransmitter involvement is dopamine. Dopamine is a neurotransmitter in brain that plays a key role in attention, motivation, reward, and self-regulation. It helps the brain stay on tasks, stay engaged, and control impulses. In individuals with ADHD, dopamine activity is often lower or less effectively regulated. In particular, particularly in areas such as prefrontal cortex. This affects the brain's ability to stay on attention, delay gratification, and sustain effort over time. So, the executive functions are mental processes that allow us to plan, organize, regulate behavior, manage time, and all these in ADHD, these functions are impaired. What is the working memory? Working memory is the ability to hold information in mind, use it to complete tasks difficulties lead to. forgetting instructions, losing track of tasks, incomplete work. So, for example, there is a teacher, and this teacher gives 3 instructions. The child with ADHD remembers only one because exactly it has a difficulty in his or her working memory. So, how is ADHD evaluated and assessed? ADHD assessment is comprehensive process that requires a multi-method and multi-informant approach. There is no single test that can diagnose ADHD. Instead, professionals combine information from different sources from a complete understanding of the child's function and functioning. Assessment typically includes clinical interviews with parents and child, behavioral observations across settings, developmental and medical history, standardized rating scales, cognitive and psychological testing when needed. The key principle here is assessment must include both home and school information. Who assesses ADHD? ADHD is diagnosed by trained professionals such as child and adolescent psychiatrists, school psychologists, developmental pediatricians, multidisciplinary teams such as psychologists, speech therapists, special educators. Teachers and parents do not diagnose, but they provide essential information. So common tools used in ADHD assessment include rating scales, parent and teacher, ADHD rating scale, Honors rating scales, Vanderbilt ADHD diagnostic rating scale, and strengths and difficulties questionnaire. All these are used to assess behavior across environments. So these tests are used to assess cognitive functioning and rule out other difficulties. Wilshire Intelligence Scale for Children measures cognitive abilities such as IQ, working memory, processing speed. Continuous Performance Test (CPT) assesses attention and sustained focus. NEPSI, the second one, evaluates executive functioning and attention. So the important here is that these tests do not diagnose ADHD alone, but support the assessment. The diagnostic frameworks are based on internationally recognized criteria, DSM-5 and ICD-11. This requires persistent symptoms, functional impairment, presence in multiple settings such as home and school. ADHD diagnosis is clinical and cannot be based on a single test. It requires comprehensive evaluation across settings. So let's see the DSM-5 criteria for ADHD. We have 3 parts. The first part is about inattention, and someone with ADHD has 6 or more from this. We have the hyperactivity, impulsivity, which is also someone with ADHD must have 6 and above, and also the additional criteria. Let's start from inattention. Someone inattention symptoms are careless, mistakes, difficulty sustaining attention, does not listen, does not follow instruction, poor organization, avoids efforts, loses items, easily distracted, forgetful. The hyperactivity impulsivity symptoms are fidgeting, restlessness, leaves, sits, runs, climbs excessively, difficulty playing quietly, on-the-go behavior, talks excessively, blurts out answers, difficulty waiting, interrupts others. Additional criteria are that all these symptoms are above 6 months duration, onset before age of 12, present in 2 or more settings, functional impairment, not explained, not explained by other conditions. How common is ADHD? Attentional deficit hyperactivity disorder is one of the most common neurodevelopmental conditions in childhood. Research indicates that ADHD affects approximately 5 to 7% of children worldwide. In most cases, symptoms appear before the age of 12. ADHD affects both boys and girls, although is often diagnosed more frequently in boys. Symptoms may continue into adolescence and adulthood. Although ADHD begins in childhood, studies show that many individuals continue to experience some symptoms later in life. Early identification and appropriate support can significantly improve a child's academic performance, emotional well-being, and social relationship. The basic symptoms and the core characteristics. So the 3 main characteristics of ADHD, as we said before, is inattention, which this person have difficulty maintaining focus, paying attention to details, or completing tasks. Hyperactivity, which has excessive movement, restlessness, or difficulty remaining still, and impulsivity, acting quickly without thinking, interrupting others, or having difficulty waiting for a turn. Each child with ADHD may experience a different combination and intensity of these symptoms. Some children may mainly struggle with attention, while others may show more hyperactive or impulsive behavior. Understanding these core characteristics helps parents and educators recognize ADHD symptoms early and provide appropriate support for the child's learning, behavior, and emotional development. Attention difficulties. A child with ADHD may be easily distracted by surrounding stimuli, forget instructions or details of tasks, have difficulty completing assessments or activities, frequently lose items such as books, pencils, or school materials, struggle with organization and planning. These attention difficulties can affect child's academic performance, daily routines, and ability to follow through on tasks. They are not due to a lack of effort, but rather to differences in how the brain processes and manages attention. Hyperactivity. You may notice that a child is constantly moving or fidgeting, has difficulty sitting still or staying seated, talks excessively, appears restless or unable to relax, has a strong need for continuous activities. These behaviors are often more intense and frequent than expected for the child's age and may make it difficult for them to participate in structured activities such as classroom learning or quiet tasks. Impulsivity may appear as interrupting others during conversation or activities, difficulty waiting for their turn, giving quickly or premature answers, acting without thinking about consequences. These behaviors can make it challenging for children to interact socially, follow rules, and manage their behavior effectively, especially in structured environments like school. So, how is ADHD visible in class? In everyday life, ADHD may appear as difficulty staying focused during lessons, easily distracted by noise, surroundings, trouble following instructions and completing tasks, frequently forgets materials or loses items, fidgeting, restlessness, or leaving seat, talking excessively, or interrupting others, acting impulsively without thinking, difficulty waiting for their turn, making careless mistakes, struggling with organization and time management, procrastination or avoiding of tasks that requires efforts, getting easily bored and switching activities quickly. So understanding the frequency, intensity, and impact of behavior is the key to recognize ADHD. Typical child behavior: occasionally gets bored, sometimes forgets things, can be active or energetic. Behavior varies depending on the situation. Possible ADHD indicators: behavior occurs frequently and consistently, appears in multiple settings, home, school, social situations, is more intense than expected for the child's age, interferes with daily functioning, learning, and relationships. How might the child feel? Children with ADHD often become easily frustrated, especially when tasks feel difficult, have low self-confidence due to repeated challenges or negative feedback. They feel like they are not good enough, that they are failing, experience difficulties forming and maintaining friendships. They may also feel misunderstood by adults or peers, feel anxious about making mistakes, become discouraged, or give up easily. Emotional dysregulation. Children with ADHD often experience emotional dysregulation, which means they may have difficulty managing and controlling their emotion. This may appear as strong emotional reactions, for example, anger, frustration, excitement, difficulty calming down after being upset, low tolerance for frustration, quick mood changes, overreacting to small challenges. Why does this happen? Emotional dysregulation ADHD is linked to differences in self-regulation skills, impulse control, executive functioning, the brain's ability to plan, manage, and regulate behavior. So let's see how we can recognize ADHD symptoms. First example, which is the scenario 1. The child frequently leaves their seat, talks without waiting for their turn. Which symptoms is the most visible? And the scenario 2 is the child interrupts other during conversation, answers questions before they are finished, struggles to wait their turn. Which symptoms are the most visible? Discuss your answers. So as we see, the first one is about hyperactivity, as the child cannot frequently leave their seat and talks without waiting their turn. And the other one is about mostly is about impulsivity, because it struggles to wait their turn, answers questions before they are finished, interrupts others during conversation, and etc. Let's see now a video. So now a small summary, recap. In this module, we learn what is ADHD, the main symptoms of ADHD, how ADHD appears in daily life, when it is appropriate to seek professional help, and ADHD is a neurodevelopmental condition, not a result of poor parenting or lack of effort. Your child's behavior is not intentional. They may struggle with attention, impulses, and emotions. Early recognition and understanding can make a big difference. Children with ADHD need structure, patience, and positive support. Focus on your child's strengths, not only their difficulties. Seeking help is a positive step, not a failure. These are our references. Thank you very much. You can see here our website, our social media, and our LinkedIn. So you can visit us and stay on track with us. Thank you very much.